Hello, my friend. Welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm your host, Joelle Cease. This is the Living in Sync podcast, and today we are having a girl chat. What is a girl chat episode? It is about a broad variety of topics that I just want to go over and share with you thoughts, feelings, things, but still things that will be helpful, things that will be supportive for you in this season of your life, or take it or leave it. Doesn't matter to me. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm glad you guys really enjoyed last week's episode on tips for your holiday sanity. If you haven't listened to that episode, go ahead and check it out. It's the one just before this one. But today's episode, we're going to be a little all over the place because I've got a thought on something that I see that is so normal. And to me, it's like, this is nuts. Why? Just why? I'm going to be talking more about gratitude. I think that's going to be a really cool topic of conversation since this is being dropped mid-ish November. I'm going to share with you what I am doing right now in terms of my weight loss and tracking food and what I am doing. I've got a really cool meditation that I want to share with you. And then I'm going to be talking about, at the end, a supplement that has really been supportive for me in my 15-pound weight loss. And I'm just going to talk about it because this is the first time I am talking about this supplement, even though I really started taking it in January of 2025. Why I haven't talked about it on my social media, why I haven't shared it, why it feels inauthentic to move forward talking about it, because it has been a pivotal thing in my weight loss journey. But I'm going to caveat and just leave that for the end. That is going to be a big old juicy rant at the end of this episode. But let's start by talking about the thing I see on social media where I'm like, this is nuts. I didn't know this was so normal, but to me, I just go, why? And you need to tell me something that you think other people do in the holiday season that is so normal. And you're just like, why? Why do we do this? I'll go first. To me, it's Christmas decor shopping every year. I see people getting brand new big shebang hauls of brand new Christmas decor every year. And I think to myself, where do you have room for all of that stuff? Why did you have to get more stuff? What's wrong with the stuff that you used last year? And this is definitely because this is how I grew up. I had the realization of like, my grandma, who's 95 years old, sweet lady, has had the same Christmas decorations since I can remember. My mom still decorates her Christmas tree with the same ornaments as when I was a little kid. And I now do the same. I use the same things every single year. When I bought our first home it was a small little 90s Rambler, yellow, like such a starter home throwback. But I bought a Christmas tree and I did a huge Christmas decor haul. This was before I had kids. This was the year that we got engaged. We weren't even married yet. I stopped using a Christmas tree that I had somehow obtained from family members that they were getting rid of it, and actually bought my own Christmas tree. And I still pretty much use the same Christmas decor every single year. And I just want to caveat and say it's because I know that I bought Christmas decor that I genuinely loved, that to me represented Christmas, that brought in the holiday warm fuzzies and feels because it's what I liked, not necessarily what was on trend. Because what is the theme of my Christmas decor? I don't know. To me, I would say mine is pretty classic Christmas. please follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And if you've followed me for many years on Instagram, you know what my tree is going to look like this year, because it's pretty much the same thing that my tree looked like last year. Minus the fact that I did get a new Christmas tree, because last year I recognized and realized one of the pieces of, well, the big piece of my Christmas tree, the bottom part of my Christmas tree was broke, and I had to MacGyver and tie things together, and it worked for last year. But we got a new Christmas tree this year, but I'm going to be decorating it with the same stuff. It's going to have the same ribbon, about the same Christmas ornaments. We maybe add 1 or 2 Christmas ornaments each year. My stockings will be the same. They will be hung in the same spot. My nativity is the same. Actually, my nativity is something that I love so much. And is it out of the current trends? Yeah, because it's the willow tree Christmas nativity. This is something I asked as a Christmas gift when did I ask for this? It was before the pandemic, because I know I've had it longer than the pandemic. And I asked for it as my Christmas present, and it is the same nativity I set up every year. I put the tree in the same spot every year. Like, I don't know how everybody is buying more and more and more and more and more stuff. But like I said on my last episode, I'm going to caveat and say I might go to a couple thrift stores and find some thrift vintage looking Christmas pieces to add to my collection, and just put out there like, hey, I'm open to collecting a few other items, but they are going to be quality, they are going to be unique, and they're going to be vintage. But I am not going to be rebuying Christmas ornaments every single year. Now, let me just caveat and say, if you love that and you change it up every year and you pick a different theme for your Christmas and all of that, I love that for you. But in my head, I'm going, what are you, nuts? Like, I don't know if you guys listen to the Good Guys podcast, but they have a segment every single week called What Are You Nuts? And this is one of mine where I'm like, what are you, nuts? That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money I could allocate to other things outside of decor that's only out for about a month and a half. Now, when do you put up your Christmas tree? I know this is a hot take. So my Christmas tree is up right now. And to me, I need to fluff and let gravity do some of the fluffing for me before I decorate. So I likely decorate for Christmas mid-November. I'm not November 1st decking the halls, but like November 1st, our Christmas tree went up, partially because we got a new one and I wanted to make sure that like we were going with that. And if we needed to return it, whatnot, what have you, we could still do that. So my Christmas tree it is up. It is just not decorated at the moment, but I will likely decorate it mid-November. So pretty soon. And when I decorate it, I will show you guys. So make sure you're following me on Instagram and make sure you come tell me what did you think that is just kind of crazy during the holiday season that other people do that is so normal, but you're like, what? Why? I wanted to go more in depth on the book, the gratitude book that I was talking to you guys about. Now, I have leaned so far into my faith that manifestation and all of that kind of stuff where people are saying, put this out into the universe. I'm always just like, okay, I'll put it out into the universe, but then I'm going to go a step further and give it to God. And to me, God created the universe. So if you're only talking to your universe, you're only going towards like, there's a barrier there. Anyways, what have you. The reason why I hesitate to recommend this book is because within the Christian community, there is a lot of criticism around manifestation. But for me, I can read a book and intertwine what I know to be true in my faith into that book. And so I'm going into this season with this book of being like, I am not here to make my own magic. I am not here to guide my own steps or manifest my own reality. I am fully here to live out God's plan and purpose for my life. And I'm reading this manifestation book that has each day a guided practice as well as a chapter to read that will really bring depth to gratitude. So it's not just, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for this. It really helps give a depth, a guide to being in depth with your gratitude. And I'll link the book in the show notes, but if you're not interested in this, but you do want to start doing a gratitude list every day, I'm going to give you a couple tips. So here's the big thing is when you are writing out, I am grateful for blank, make sure you end it with the why. Why are you grateful for that thing? What does that thing allow you to do? What is the reason of which why you are grateful for what it is you just wrote about? And really, to me, I would rather write down in depth 5 really fantastic things I'm grateful for and have it be like a very in-depth why, then write down 10 things and it just being surface level of like, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my computer, I'm grateful for my this, I'm grateful for my that. Like, I would rather take the time, because I do this in the morning, our new morning routine. You guys, I love our new morning routine, and not to brag, but I'm going to brag. Right now, in this season of life, I am able to have a slow morning routine but also it starts really early. So I want to caveat that even though it's slower, it is because we are waking up earlier. So we have a light alarm clock, which 10 out of 10 recommend. If you guys, I know the Hatch is really expensive, but on Amazon or at TJ Maxx or whatever, there are so many light alarm clocks. Get you a light alarm clock where at a certain time at 5 a.m., ours turns on very dimly, and then over the course of like 10-15 minutes it gets gradually brighter, and then an actual like song chime alarm goes off at about 5:15. So at 5:15, I'm waking up very gradually because I kind of start to like stir and notice when the light is coming on. And then when the sound goes off, I open my eyes and I'm like, okay, then I go downstairs and I get us coffee. And then from 5:15 to like 6 o'clock, I'm doing my Bible study, my reading of this magic book, and writing down my gratitude. And then I'm going on Pinterest because, like I told you guys, to me, I found and curated a Pinterest feed that is positive, uplifting, motivating, cute outfits, grandma aesthetic home decor, whole foods based meals, and it's top notch. Like, and then that's when the kids will get up, and then we get into the rigmarole of getting ready for the day and all of that stuff. So even though it's a very slow paced morning, we're still waking up early and enjoying our coffee and starting our day in an intentional way. And it's been a really, really good way to start the day. But back to gratitude, that's when I'm reading my gratitude book and writing out what it is that I am grateful for, and doing the like assignments that are associated with this book. And I think it's been really helpful for November. So even if you're like, oh, I couldn't read a whole chapter in the morning, I'm challenging you to start your day with gratitude by writing down every single day 5 things that you're grateful for and why. And maybe even, the first 3 days you can be really generic, but then after that, start thinking about, like, for example, within this book, it talked about how being grateful for every dollar that you've ever made. And for whatever reason, my brain went to being grateful for every single job I ever had. So I started with like my first job and why I was grateful for that. And then my second job and the job I had in college and the job that I really was just like in deep gratitude for any job that I ever had. And when I was writing out the why, I could really see how every single thing has played a role in my life to getting me to where I am today, which was such an exciting, it's like a really hindsight way of looking at things. And then today it was like being grateful for your bills and like writing out the different bills that came to my mind and like why why should I be grateful for those things? And so the book is a really good tool to help you, but you could definitely creatively put this into Chat GPT and say, like, for every day in November, give me a prompt of gratitude with different areas of my life to go into, or something like that. And you could definitely create your own kind of thing. But in my opinion, it's kind of practice to be like, write down 10 things you're grateful for every day. But then you just start getting so monotonous. And I think, why not think about 5 things you're grateful for and go deep in talking about why you are grateful for those things and see how it's just lands different. Okay, but I will leave the book that I'm referencing in the show notes. And I did want to caveat that manifestation portion of it, because I know manifestation gets really criticized by the Christian community. But I think as a Christian, we can keep that lens at the forefront and still really reap the benefits of going through deep gratitude practices and stuff like that. So anyways, moving on, talking about food and nutrition. And I know over this course of 2025, I've been just sharing with you guys so heavily, like, it is so important for you to track what it is that you are eating, not to eat the lowest amount possible of food, not to like hit all of your macros, but to truly just be aware. Because if you start working with any nutritionist, any dietitian, any sort of health and fitness coach, the first thing they're going to have you do is track your food for like 3 to 5 days, just so they have an understanding of where you're at and where you have an understanding of where you're at. And trust me, you guys, even people who think that they're not eating a lot of food and they're not eating a lot of junk, and it's like, oh, I'm only having a little bit of food. Once you really look at what it is you're eating and what components are in there, like, is it low fiber, low protein, all of that, you're just like really recognizing, wow, how I thought I was eating and how I'm actually eating isn't the same. But I do get it that like sometimes with an app, it's just like tedious and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do it. And I think it's been really important and pivotal for me all of 2025 pretty much to be tracking my food in an app to see actual numbers. But what I'm doing from now till the end of the year is I'm not tracking in an app, but what I am doing is I am writing down in the morning an idea of what it is I'm going to eat, and I'm going to follow the plan, not the feeling. And this does include like enjoying time off. And I'm going to get into that. So like today, for example, I'm like, okay, I know for breakfast, I'm going to have a shake, and I know that that has protein, fats, and fiber. For lunch, I'm going to have my tuna salad and my salt and vinegar chips because it's got protein, fat, fiber, and something I truly enjoy, which is my salt and vinegar chips. For lunch, I'm going to have my popcorn, apple, and cheese. And then for dinner, we are having a chicken sausage goodles because we all are loving the macaroni and cheese goodles. And I bought a Costco amount of it, so it kind of needs to be eaten up. And then I have a frozen broccoli in the freezer that also needs to be used up. And I wrote all of that out, and that is going to be my plan for the day. So when I am wanting to eat, that is what I'm going to go to. I'm going to follow the plan, not the feeling. And this has worked in my favor, even just taking it day by day with knowing what I have in the fridge. How can I make the most of it? I do this in the morning, so then I'm not scrambling, like when I come out of my office from when I'm working, I'm not like, oh, it's a handful of this, handful of that, what should I have for lunch or whatever it is, or when the kids come home after school and they want a snack, like what am I gonna have, and really just focusing on that and writing it down and then following the plan, not the feeling. This has even included, sometimes I did get some of those Yasso ice cream bars, And if I'm like, okay, tonight I'm going to have a Yasso ice cream bar after I've sat in the sauna and after the kids go to bed. But you guys, I seriously get heartburn when I eat too close to bedtime. So it's really not hard for me to eat after dinner time because I just keep thinking like, oh, I do not want to have heartburn when I go to bed. But sometimes I like to even throw in a little treat in there and I follow the plan, not the feeling. And that leads to it being well balanced for this time of year when it's like, okay, tomorrow we have an event going on that we're going to be out to dinner for and out later in the evening. So my plan for tomorrow is my shake in the morning, my tuna sandwich, and I'm going to have an apple with that. And then I'm just going to like say wherever we decide to go out or have dinner is just going to be what it is. I'm going to focus on my portions and that's what it's going to be, right? And I'm going to probably have a cocktail or two at that event. So it's really helping me take a day by day mentality and have a well-roundedness of like, okay, well, if I know I'm going out to dinner, then I can keep lunch and breakfast a little bit lighter, and it just helps me take it day by day by day by day. And then I wanted to share with you guys too, and I'll link this in the show notes. Something that has been working really well for me is a meditation. And honestly, just into YouTube, I put in food noise meditation, and I've tried a couple, but this one that I'm linking to you guys has been my favorite so far because to me, I've done a lot of reading on food and food addiction and using food as a way to cope, using food as a way to feel better, using food for just me wanting to provide support for me. I've got other episodes on that, you guys. You could go back and listen to a lot of them. But for me in this meditation, she talks about, and just at the beginning of it says like, what's a word you want to anchor to of how you want to feel around food? And most of the time when I've done this meditation, because I keep doing this same meditation over and over and over again, my word is neutral. A couple times I've had it be nourishment. It just kind of depends on the day. But most of the time I'm anchoring into that word neutral. And I want to feel neutral about food. I want to see food as fuel. But before I was seeing fuel or food as nourishment for me in the sense of like coping mechanisms and nervous system regulation and dopamine hits and really like having the need for high sensory palatable foods such as like sugar and super salty things and all of that for it to be like coping for me in some sort of way. And to me, like, yes, I want to get to the space and place of like food is my fuel. It doesn't have a lot of emotion tied to it. But the first step that I need to, in my opinion, what feels right for me is get to food neutrality, where it's like I can take it or leave it when it comes to food. And food isn't just like my emphasis. And I have in past episodes talked about the different ways that food has been like an emphasis for me, but I ground to feeling neutral around food. And this is something that I'm still actively using and learning, but I am finding like when I can take the 15 minutes to listen to this, and it's not me laying down, because she does give the guidance of like laying down and closing your eyes, but sometimes when I'm on a walk, I'll just use this meditation while I'm walking or while I'm sitting in the sauna. And yes, sometimes like I'll pop my headphones in and do it for 15 minutes after the kids have gone to bed and I'm laying on the floor in our bedroom, and our chiropractor gave us this like foam piece to start fixing our tech neck basically, and I'll sit up like lay down on the floor and do that but have my headphones in, and I'm doing this meditation. Sometimes I do it after my workout in the morning. It just really kind of depends. I would say my goal though is to do this meditation 3-ish times a week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I have found when I'm done with this meditation, there's just something feels different. Something feels different. And I've done a couple other ones, but this is the one that I keep going back to because I really feel great. I feel like it's a good time frame. And then that leads me into the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys is this supplement that I have been taking. It's one of the newer supplement formulations from Protea Nutrition. Now, if you've listened for a long time, you know I've been a long time fan of Protea Nutrition, specifically Baseline Plus, and still love Baseline Plus. Actually, a couple of my friends and I stopped taking it for a while. Luteal phase started becoming way too luteal again, and we started to get back on it, and we're all like, why were we ever off of this stuff? But the supplement that I want to talk to you about today that I started taking really, probably I got it like last fall, but then really started taking it efficiently, consistently in January. And I do think that this was something that helped my 15-pound weight loss. Now, I'm not going to discredit and say I didn't be diligent with my workouts and my food and it being in a calorie deficit, because that was the main reason of my weight loss. What I think Berbilean is helping me with is helping me not be so hungry. It's not advertised as an appetite suppressant, but I do feel like it helps my appetite. So Berberline, the claims on the bottle from Protea is it promotes healthy weight loss, boosts healthy digestion, and clean energy and clarity. Now, the ingredients are probably a lot of the things you've heard that are helpful and supportive for A1C and blood glucose and digestive and all of that, because the main ingredient is berberine, apple cider vinegar, white tea, ginger root extract, green coffee bean extract, L-carnitine, natural caffeine, cayenne pepper. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what this is Colis forksole extract. I don't even know what that is, you guys. And L-tyrosine. Now, and there's also L-leucine in it, which is, these are all amino acids. So these ingredients to me have helped me with blood sugar regulation, digestion. I mean, apple cider vinegar is so, I talked about my heartburn at a little bit ago, but like apple cider vinegar and digestive enzymes are so good for acid reflux and heartburn. And so this supplement I took so religiously January to probably beginning of June. And then I stopped taking it. As you guys know, my stance on supplements is they are meant to be supportive supplementation for a healthy lifestyle. Healthy lifestyle matters the most. Over the summer, I got a little laxed with not tracking as frequently as I did, going out to eat more, all of that stuff, not making sure I was staying in a calorie deficit. I wasn't doing as much cardio because it was hot outside, so I wasn't getting my running in, and it was really smoky a lot of our summer, so it wasn't like even safe to go outside for a long walk or anything like that. It's so crazy kind of to reflect on summer like that, where it's like, oh, that kind of stinks. Like we had to take it pretty seriously in June and July and August. We had sicknesses in our house, so it was just kind of crazy. But then when the kids started back to school, I was like reflecting and talking to one of my best friends on how I was feeling and how I was starting to get the food cravings or the food noise again. And I'm like, oh, I haven't been taking Berberline. And I didn't think it was making a difference. But then when I got off of it, I was like, maybe this was making more of a difference than what I even thought it was. So that is why I didn't talk about it in January and the months of my weight loss, is because I know that the majority of those results came from the discipline, dedication, devotion, commitment, consistency that I had to a calorie deficit, to my cardio, to my training. And just as it does when you stop following the plan and you let the feelings come in a little bit more, I started to see the scale creep up in September, and I was like, oh, I don't like this. And then while I was trying so hard to get myself back into that calorie deficit, I'm like, my calorie deficit didn't feel as hard last time. What's the difference? And because I do stand, and I've heard the research behind these ingredients of like berberine, apple cider vinegar, ginger root, the other ingredients in there, I'm like, I'm just gonna try to go back on Berbilean. And here I am saying, like, I really do think that this supplement feels really supportive for me. So if this is something you're thinking about, like, oh, I would really like to see if it would make a slight difference. Now, I'm not going to say, like, you start taking this supplement and you're going to see a 15-pound weight loss, because that's not at all what I'm saying. And that is not at all what the company says. Like, the foundation of a healthy lifestyle is first and foremost, but supplements are meant to support you and your goals. And I have felt that this has been supportive for my goal of weight loss. And that's what I'm going to say about that. So as always, I'm not a doctor. Talk with your doctor, talk with your naturopath, share with them the ingredients, or just use your own judgment on like, hey, do you feel like this would be something for you? I've used it for a while and now I feel like I can recommend. If I would have talked to you guys about this in January, February, yes, I would have been transparent about me taking this in the support of my weight loss journey, but I couldn't have given like a solid, I really think this was helpful. I really think this was supportive, because at that time I didn't know. And also I had way more discipline and focus in my caloric deficit and my cardio training and all of that. So that's a long rant about Protea and Berberine, but I will leave my affiliated link with Protea in the show notes. Check out any of their products. If you're wondering about any of their other products, I do have personal experience with most of their products. So if you want to know about them or something different other than Berberine, just let me know and I can share my experience or share a previous podcast episode where I talk about it. And I wanted to just share that with you, my friend. Here's our little girl chat. Hopefully you got some productive things done while you were listening, or I kept you company in the car. Don't forget to come on over to Instagram, continue the conversation, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.